I never worry about action, but only about inaction. And I start with it because I think I've been wired, or I think a lot of business leaders have been wired to do. That was me from day one. And so when we're wired to do, we're so used to being in that comfort zone of just doing and moving and never stopping, more or less. So for me, from the day I was born to when I was 6, I moved every 4 years of my life. And so I'm so comfortable moving. So I moved to Canada when I was 6, moved back to Thailand when I was 10, moved to boarding school in Boston when I was 14, moved to Providence, Rhode Island when I was 18, moved back to Thailand for 2 years, moved back to Los Angeles another 4 years, and then to San Francisco. So moving and doing has been just a regular part of my life. And I think a lot of people are wired that way. And I think a lot of type A people, which I can say that I definitely am, have been wired that way. And so coming back and starting out working, not only did I have 8 companies that I was working with in a family business, I also decided to start up with my business partner, Nan, a fashion business. And then from that fashion business, it grew and became from 1 brand, became 2 brands, became 6 brands, became 80 branches. And so we just kept building and kept growing. And for me, at least, how I de-stress was physically. I never really paid attention much to the mind. I did yoga, I did Pilates, I ran. And then really it gets to a point when you do that. And I think about my son waking up this morning and the boundless amount of energy he has. And I look at him and I think, wow, if I only could bottle that energy up and just drink it and have his form of energy at this age, it would be amazing. But the truth is, I think you hit a point in your life where you do and you don't reflect enough. And how ends up happening is, for me at least, I burnt out. And so after about 10 years of having to deal with insomnia and not being able to sleep and constantly trying to figure out a way to continue to sleep, I realized like I was physically killing myself and I couldn't find a way out. And a lot of people have said you need to meditate, you need to figure it out, but it just wasn't something I was comfortable doing or knew how to do. So I ended up doing what I was most comfortable doing, which is moving. So what ended up happening was I moved to New York. And in New York, there's a lot of pictures of my son and of Halloween because I love Halloween and Halloween's coming up. But basically, there's a sense, if you can just see it, it's a sense of freedom and happiness. And I call it the retreat in lieu of basically going to Pak Tong Chai and having the retreat there, because it was what I knew how to do to retreat to myself. And I basically took 1 year and did absolutely nothing except go to Katy Perry concerts and more concerts and just to carnivals and just basically have fun. And one of the things that I probably miss the most living in Thailand, and I'm not sure if how many people in the audience can relate to me, but I basically more or less live in a bubble here. I go from my house into my van, into my office. I barely breathe the outside air here as well. And so that was more or less my life. So being on the streets of New York, like it was so nice to just get that energy back for myself and also just to take the time to just step back and do nothing after doing something for like a whole decade. And what that actually really gave me was a realization that when I ended up doing so much, I never quite was doing anything very well. Like I wasn't working 100%. I wasn't being a mother 100%. I wasn't being a daughter 100% because you only have so much time in your day. And back then when I was doing a lot of interviews, like one of the questions they asked me as a business leader is like, how do you do it all? And the truth is you don't. When you're spending time doing one thing, the others take a toll. And I knew for myself that my priority at that point in time was my son. And I wanted to take that 1 year and to give it to him wholly. And I knew that I had to do that for him and for myself. And what ended up happening during that time was also a really beautiful thing is I managed to sleep after not being able to sleep for 10 years and being on sleeping pills almost every single day. And 2 is I no longer felt guilty because I always constantly felt guilty of not giving enough time for my son because I was, just running corners, trying to pick him up, going to work at the same time. And then the last thing is, I actually found a deeper inner purpose, which I went to a women's empowerment summit and realized this is kind of my calling and what I want to do and preach back in Asia. So Dragonfly 360 was founded while I was in New York and had time to just think, and came back and started a women's empowerment, gender equality movement to empower girls and women in Asia, and also to educate boys and men on the importance of gender equality. And so that's kind of been my full force passion ever since I've moved back. I also joined YPO, which is Young Presidents Organization. And I think Kun Anthony spoke about, sometimes it's hard at the top because you don't really have anybody to talk to and to relate to. But at YPO, we really are able to share the same issues that we have. And the truth is, everybody has burnout and everybody faces issues with mindfulness and mental well-being. And we can all use a little help with that. And that brings me to the Bak Tong Chai retreat, is that the reality is I can't anymore continue to run away and to just take a whole year off. The reality is there is an easier way. And I'm very blessed to have met Lumpi John and Lumpi Duke, my cousin, who has taken me to his retreat, which is only 3 hours away, and has taught me that I don't need to take a whole year off. I don't need even to take a whole month off and just escape every time I feel stressed or burnout or anything. I can actually just retreat into myself. So meditation has been a very valuable tool for me to this very day, because the truth is I still continue to and love to build things and love to work and like to build businesses. And even with Dragonfly or whatever it is that's coming my way, there are days when I'm super duper stressed. And if I keep meditating versus just exercising, which is what I used to do physically, it's both building mental strength for the mind as much as it is for the body too. And Bak Chong Chai Retreat has been such a beautiful place for me to go, because not only is it family, I've brought friends there, and there's just so much love and compassion and kindness there. And it's all about just giving. And that has made me feel very blessed and very lucky. And this is my new mantra: inaction may be the biggest form of action. And I say this even when I'm meditating. I'm trying to do something, I'm trying to achieve something. And I'm like, why am I not getting there? Why am I not getting there? And I asked my cousin Lopidok, like, what do I need to do? Like, why is this happening? Why is there like a pain in my head when I'm meditating? And he said to me simply, do nothing. And so since that day on, my new mantra is inaction may be the biggest form of action, and doing nothing is just as powerful as doing something as well. And so now when I don't know the answers, or I'm feeling stressed or need to make some kind of decision quickly, I often just retreat to myself, sit for a while and do nothing, and it just becomes clearer.
What have you seen as being true about building business throughout your experience?
The passion it takes to continue to build, because I was in fashion for a while, and it looks like the most glamorous business from the outside, but really it's not at all. So if you're not truly passionate about what you're doing to begin with, I think that's an internal struggle I think a lot of Asians have. I know Colin mentioned it. It's what you're supposed to do versus what you want to do. And so a lot of times you don't really sit there and listen to yourself, because you've been trained from young to answer to what you should be doing, that you kind of forget what you really want to do. So without that passion at the end, you kind of do burn out.
Of how you manage your robust schedule in your daily life at work as an entrepreneur?
I think things like painting or even yoga, it requires you to do something. So when you're doing something to just zone out, or it's a repetitive movement, it's cleaning, and that's great. But for me, when I had insomnia for so long, it wasn't enough. Like I was running, I was trying to wear myself out. I was doing anything just to just be able to sleep. But for personally, when I meditate, it goes back to not only cleaning but refining your mind. And it's like wires, your wires are all crossed for a while. But the cleaning part helps to maintain it. But you need to start building your mind so it's stronger to be able to continue facing with all the problems that we face on a daily basis. Because the truth is, we do face everything on a daily basis. The minute we get up, we face something. So it's not only about cleaning your mind, it's also, I think, about making your mind stronger. And I believe meditation helps you strengthen the mind in order for you to be stronger to combat all those things that come your way.
How a wake-up call for business leader in mental well-being. I would like to give each and everyone just 1 minute, each panelist, to give a wrap-up session to advise to entrepreneurs what they should overcome and how they could overcome their current situation. We can start from you, Pam.
1 minute. I think it would be nice to see if business leaders did not have to reach the point where they burnt out and had a wake up call. And I think if you start meditating now and are mindful now, then you avoid having to unravel that whole burnout and wake up call. The unfortunate truth is some people mostly need to hit a wall first before they do think that they feel they need to do something about it. And the nice thing is there is something you can do, and it's really simple and easy, and it takes practice, and there's no magical pill or formula for it. It's exactly like exercise. Like the minute you stop, it takes that much harder to get back and start again. So it's something that even if you have 10 minutes to do each day, just do it 10 minutes a day, because the minute you stop and start back on, it's like with every skill that you learn, it's a habit that you need to form, and it's a very good one.
Free your mind, close your eyes, free your